2023 City of Oshkosh Plan Commission meeting. We're glad you can join us, and I do see that we have a quorum. I have a few housekeeping items to go over before we begin. Please turn off or silence all personal communication devices. The applicant and members of the public may speak to any item before the Plan Commission when the relevant item to which you wish to speak is called and public comment is opened. Unless an exception is made by the Plan Commission, the following rules will apply. The applicant will be given up to 10 minutes to present any information that they wish the Plan Commission to consider. Thereafter, members of the public will be given up to 5 minutes to address the specific item before the Plan Commission for consideration. Members of the public may only speak once per called agenda item unless the Plan Commission member requires clarification or wishes to ask you a question. Questions or statements from the audience will not be considered. Only statements from the podium after your name and address are stated and within the allowed time constraints are taken into consideration. After all the community members have had an opportunity to speak on the called agenda item, the applicant will be asked if they have a final statement for the Plan Commission, and then the Commission may take action on that agenda item. I'd like to remind everybody that the Common Council has adopted city rules of decorum for city boards and commissions, including the adoption of a civility pledge. No person shall personally attack a board or commission member, city official, staff, or any other person. No person shall make irrelevant, unduly repetitive, offensive, threatening, slanderous, defamatory, or obscene remarks, or act in such a manner as to disrupt or disturb the orderly conduct of the meeting. This includes hand clapping, stomping of feet, whistling, shouting, or other demonstrations. I thank you all for your understanding. Now on to the agenda. As the last item on the agenda is just a report and a non-actionable item, there will be no public comment period. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Coulibaly.
Here.
Ms. Davy.
Here.
Councilmember Esslinger.
Here.
Ms. Prop.
Here.
Ms. Shireman.
Here.
Mr. Lowenstein. Mr. Nichols. Mr. Bowen. Vice Chair Kiefer.
Here.
Chairman Perry.
Here.
7 board members present.
Wonderful, thank you. First item on the agenda is the approval of the October 17th, 2023 minutes, Plan Commission.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Okay, I'm seeing none. We can have a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Thank you, the minutes pass. Item number 1 is a drainage easement located at the north granite block of West 35th Avenue. Parcels, whatever, there's a lot of parcel numbers in there. City of Oshkosh is the owner, Marmax Holdings LLC is the applicant. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission? Okay, I'm seeing none. I'm going to accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject site consists of 2 city-owned outlots east of and adjacent to 3300 Metallist Drive. Unnamed creek flows north through the eastern city-owned outlot. Plans were recently approved for personal storage buildings located at the southeast corner of 3300 Metallist Drive. The approved drainage plan for the development requires surface flow to exit the site as well as existing water which flows off the site and then flows northeasterly until it enters the creek on city property. The Department of Public Works is agreeable to the runoff as it's a pre-existing condition and required for their grading and drainage plan to operate properly. The proposed easement covers the northern portions of these 2 outlots here. It's irregular shaped, the eastern edge following the center line of the existing creek. The overall size of the easement is approximately 250 feet wide by 500 feet deep and approximately 2.8 acres in area. The petitioner will be allowed to use the easement area as part of their stormwater management plan and allow water to flow into, over, and exiting the site into the river or stream. The city attorney's office is in the process of finalizing the necessary easement documents. Public Works is in support, as it's going to alleviate a pre-existing condition, and is in support of the easement. And staff is recommending approval of the granting of the drainage easement as requested.
Hey, thank you for your summary. Plan Commissioner, are there technical questions for the planning staff? Any technical questions for the staff? I do hold a public comment period at this time. I'm going to open a public comment period. The applicant is the city, so we don't necessarily need a statement from them. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, I'm closing the public comment period. Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to accept the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Coulibaly.
Aye.
Ms. Davy.
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger.
Aye.
Ms. Prop.
Aye.
Ms. Shireman.
Aye.
Mr. Bowen.
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer.
Aye.
And Chairman Perry.
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Item number 2 on the agenda is accept park trail easements from properties generally located at 1970 Preserve Drive. It's at the Preserve at Sawyer Creek. The Preserve at Sawyer Creek Condominium Owners Association is the owner, and the City of Oshkosh Parks Department is the applicant. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission? I see none. I'll accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The subject site is existing condominium development consisting of 24 single-family dwellings, access by a private road, which is named Preserve Drive, which comes off of West 20th Avenue. The development began construction in late 2019 and is now fully developed. The plan identified a 15-foot wide pedestrian easement, which was granted to the city in 2008, starting from West 20th Avenue over here, and then wrapping around the northern section of the property, and then exiting to city-owned property, which is Rouge Park. Construction's going to begin later this year for a pedestrian trail going through Rouge Park, and will be connected to this here. The applicant is asking for an additional pedestrian easement, which will connect from Preserve Drive at the northern cul-de-sac bulb and run between these two units, and then again connecting to the future trail in Rouge Park. There are 2 easements in play for this site. The first easement is the pedestrian path trail, which runs from Preserve Drive all the way up to Rouge Park. And the second easement is a temporary construction easement, which gives the city a little more area to construct and maintain the easement. Here's a closer view of the proposed easements. Both easements are on top of an existing sanitary sewer easement, and there's an active sanitary line running through there. This will not affect the functionality of the sewer nor the existing easement. Just to show you a little better up on this screen over here, I want to show how those lots are configured. These blue line are the unit lines of the condominium development, and the pedestrian trail is going to run right down that 10-foot wide gap between these 2 units here. So with that, these are just the exhibits for the easement documents, and staff is recommending approval of the acceptance of the 2 easements as requested.
Thank you for your report. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions to the staff on this item?
Was this planned all along when those condominiums were built?
Prior to that, back in the early 2000s, there were plans for another residential development on this lot, which did not come to fruition. But at that time, the city acquired, here, I'll go back one more. The city acquired this pedestrian easement with knowing that eventually Rouge Park would have some passive recreational uses, and then connecting, I don't know if you look on here, eventually connecting to Trail School, Ray? Or Carl Traeger, I mean. And then the existing Sawyer Creek Trail system over here. So that was planned in the early 2000s.
So, to follow up on my question, so when the condominium owners bought those properties, that easement was already in play? This
Correct.
isn't something that's new?
No, just this section right here is what's being proposed as a new easement for the owners of the condominium.
Which is essentially the side yard to those two homeowners?
Correct. You can see a little better on this map.
And do we have to ask them, and do they want that? I mean, is there any sort of, I'm only asking because 25 years ago, I bought my house out there, and we were on Mockingbird, we were a thoroughfare, and then literally 6 months after we moved in, they said, oh, we're gonna make the street go this way, and our house was becoming a corner instead of a straightaway, and it was like we had nothing to do with it, we didn't have any say. So I'm wondering, is this sort of the same scenario? Like, do we ask them, or we just sort of?
As I recall, Ray, do you know a little more of the background with the history?
Good evening, Ray Mauer, Parks Director. I've actually been working with the condo association ownership for almost a year, I believe, on the plans for this. And there are some representatives from the ownership, the homeowners association, or the condo owners association here. My understanding is when they were purchasing their lots in this subdivision, that they were being informed at that time that there would be a connection in this location. It was never installed. These residents have come to the city council, I believe the last 2 years during the CIP process, requesting a connection to the Rouge Park Trail system. But there have been, I believe the condo association took a vote on the easement, and they had it 19 in favor, 2 opposed, and 2 abstained.
I mean, that's fine. My concern always is that they know about it, and it'd be interesting if the two that said no were the two, the homeowners on each side of it.
I believe one of those homeowners may be
Okay.
here to speak.
Okay. I think there's an importance to have that connector to that park. I like that. I just was curious about how that comes to be. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other technical questions to staff? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I do like to have the public comment period, and I'm going to open a public comment period, request a statement. The applicant is the city, so we don't necessarily need a statement. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item?
Yes.
Please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
I'm Daryl McGill. I live at 1841 Preserve Drive. I live within this association, and I'm a member. I'm also the former board member who worked with Ray on initiating this plan with the city. I just want to take you back to a comment that was pitched out 2 years ago to the city council. Because we do not have an active sidewalk along 20th Avenue, we have no way to allow our residents to walk along 20th Avenue like everybody else here gets to walk along the street. In lieu of that, we've asked the city to at least give us a pathway to be able to recreate and walk on the city, or allow children to be able to commute to the school without having to be subject to exposure to 20th Avenue, where there's traffic that exceeds the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit routinely on our street. For the sake of safety for those members and those children that are in our neighborhood, we have asked the city to be a part of this. And this is why we're asking for this. And I would ask if the commission has any questions of me at this time, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you for your comment. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Yes. Please approach the podium, state your name and address for our records, please.
My name is Jim Preller. I too am a resident of the subdivision, and I am, in fact, the owner of one of the homes that is adjacent to that proposed path. It is true that we were told about the path right from the get-go during the purchasing process, and we are and still want that bike path or walking path. What I'm concerned about is the scope and the breadth of what that path will actually be. Not so much from where it enters in from Preserve Drive, but furthermore when it makes the turn. I understand that part of it is going to be gravel in nature and not blacktop. That's a concern as the rest of the Rush Park trail path is all asphalt. I think there's some hybrid bridge surfaces and some natural wood bridge surfaces that are also parts of it, but there is no section that is gravel. And I have a concern about it. I'd be willing to listen to, what the engineers think and how they feel that'll eventually survive and continue to be what it's supposed to be used for. The other question I have is, so there is an existing trail easement that is on the north side of our small north pond there, and will that also be built?
Ray, do you have any?
Jeff, maybe if you could pull up the Rouge Park Master Plan. If you go to the Parks website, I can walk you through it real quickly. To start to address this gentleman's question, the trail system, once Jeff pulls up in our master plan, it's pretty extensive throughout this section of Rouge Park. I'm going to call it the western section of Rouge Park. We need to do it in phases, just based on available funding, CIP projects. The first leg of this, basically getting from the Traeger school property up to the property line of the preserve in Sawyer Creek. Sorry, Jeff, I can help you out now. Let me see if I can see. There's going to be a map showing the conceptual plans. Further down. I think you've gone too far now, Jeff. I'm seeing it on page 11. Go to the next page. Or is that showing the trail? I can't see from my vantage point.
Here we go.
So this plan, the master plan was developed in 2018, and you can see the trail system goes throughout that western section of the park. Because the extensive trail system, it's a fairly expensive endeavor, so we've taken a phased approach based on the residents' requests for the last couple of years. Our first priority was to get that main artery, we'll call it, from the Traeger property, or just north of the Traeger property, to the corner of this subdivision, the one that's being highlighted right now. Because those were the residents that were asking for a trail connection for safety, just to get into the neighborhood and use the trail system. So that was our focus. And as we were talking about the planning with the neighborhood, the discussion about this additional easement came up. The gentleman's question about that existing trail easement, which goes further along the creek, that's still in our plan. So it's a matter of when and funding, and it's also a matter of, again, these are conceptual, and this easement that's along the creek, we're finding in going out on the site now that with all the development that's taking place there, the water, the spill out from the pond and development make it a little more difficult to get the trail in there. It's becoming more of a wetland. It's not saying it can't be done, but it's still in the plan. But when that will happen is unsure, just based on, again, CIP projects and those types of items. So.
The only other concern I have is that I canvassed the rest of the Rush Park Trail, looked at all the entrances and exits, and each one, I'm sorry I only have this photograph on my iPad, but each entrance and exit is very well developed and has both man-made infrastructure as well as vegetative buffers. As I understand it, we don't have any plan for that, nor has either myself or the other adjacent owner been contacted to discuss in particular what that might look like or what that might be. I would certainly welcome any and all discussion to talk about that, since it's going to be in my backyard and I'm going to look at it. But I would be interested, and the only reason why I ask is because it is a part of the rest of the trail. There isn't one exit that doesn't have vegetative or infrastructure buffers put in, and I'm curious as to whether that would be applicable to our exit and entrance as well. That's my question.
Thank you. So just to remind the Plan Commission and the audience members, we're only talking about the easement at this time and not what it's made of, how it's going to be landscaped, and the process we're putting in. So just to keep that in mind as we go through this.
Okay.
Any other members of the public wish to speak at this time? Approach the podium and state your name and address. Any other members of the public? Okay, I see none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. We don't have a closing statement from the applicant, so Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any discussion on this motion? So as I said, this is just for an easement to begin with, and part of what I would like to state is that I hope beyond this process that there is very thoughtful consideration of working with the condos homeowners association on what this will eventually look like as a finished product. All right, any other discussion on the motion? I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Coulibaly.
Aye.
Ms. Davy.
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger.
Aye.
Ms. Prop.
Aye.
Ms. Shireman.
Aye.
Mr. Bowen.
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer.
Aye.
And Chairman Perry.
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Item number 3 is a general development plan amendment and specific implementation plan for a hospital development at northwest corner of Oregon Street and West 6th Avenue. Theta Care Incorporated is the owner. HGA Jim Medinger is the applicant. Has there been any site visits? These are being noted. Okay, thank you. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. So the subject site consists of a 21-acre vacant property with frontage on the Fox River. It's located at the northwest corner of West 6th Avenue and Oregon Streets. It is zoned riverfront mixed-use district with planned development and riverfronts overlays. And the surrounding area consists primarily of residential uses to the south and west, along with commercial uses along Oregon Street. So here's a view of the current vacant subject site. A general development plan was approved for a hospital development in November of last year. that included a condition that all requested base standard modifications will be addressed as part of the specific implementation plan. Here's the proposed site plan. The applicant is proposing an 18-bed hospital and medical office building with an ambulatory surgery center. The proposed use is consistent with the approved GDP, and plans for the site were discussed at a Plan Commission workshop on September 19th of this year and a neighborhood meeting on September 14th of this year, with neighbors being generally supportive of the project. The hospital use is considered an indoor institutional land use, which is prohibited in the RMU district, so they will need a BSM for the use. Staff is supportive of the proposed use as it's consistent with the 2040 comprehensive plan, also consistent with the mixed-use concept of the South Shore redevelopment plan, which includes hospital as an allowable use. So the site will have two accesses off of West 6th Avenue. And we'll have parking lots on both the east and west sides of the building, as well as an ambulatory drop-off at the northeast corner of the site. Also, we'll have a pharmacy drive-through window on the south side of the building. And as the original site plan had the parking shifted further towards Oregon Street, this is kind of a change from the original site plan, so it does require a GDP amendment for the change in the site layout. And staff is supportive of that change, as it will allow greater area along Oregon Street for future bridge reconstruction. For parking, according to the applicant, the industry standards require 4 stalls per bed for hospitals and 1 stall per 250 square feet of building's gross floor area for the medical office building. That would result in a total of 312 parking stalls being needed, and the applicant is providing 321 parking stalls to meet those needs. A traffic impact analysis was completed for the site. Staff reviewed the TIA and did not note any concerns with the plans as they relate to the TIA. The applicant is requesting a BSM for the drive-through pickup window on the south side of the building, as it's located between the building and a public street, as code does not allow drive-through pickup windows to be between a building and a street. Staff is supportive of that location for the pickup window, as it is the most suitable location on the site, not located between the riverfront or Oregon Street, and also allows for sufficient circulation through the site and parking. And they have offset that BSM by providing some landscaping there, and also it's significantly exceeding the front setback from West 6th Avenue at about 110 feet from the right-of-way line. The applicant is also requesting a BSM for increased setback from the waterfront. They're proposing 80 feet from the ordinary high water mark, where the maximum in the RMU district is 45 feet. So the applicant has stated that that increased setback is needed due to contaminated soils along the riverfront. And also it is intended to allow greater distance from the public river walk, as there will be hospital patients on that end of the site. Staff does not have concerns with that increased setback, as it is more intended for water-oriented commercial land uses rather than for hospital. The site plan includes a medical gas tank storage area on the west end of the west parking lot for storage of tanks of up to 15 feet in height. The enclosure will be constructed of 8-foot tall metal fencing, which will match metal panels used in the building, and the applicant is planting evergreen trees around the perimeter of the fencing to further screen view of the enclosure. The applicant has noted that the existing building at the corner of 6th and Iowa is intended to remain at this time and be maintained. The applicant at this time is reviewing options for the remainder of the undeveloped area of the site, and staff suggests adding a condition to the approval that the remaining undeveloped area be maintained in compliance with City of Oshkosh ordinances. Here's the proposed landscaping plan. It is meeting all building foundation landscaping requirements as well as paved area requirements. It's also meeting street frontage point requirements. However, the applicant is requesting a BSM to have landscaping planted further than 10 feet from the Oregon Street right-of-way line and further than 10 feet from the West 6th Avenue right-of-way line, where code requires landscaping to be within 10 feet of the frontages for those street frontage landscaping points. And the applicant has stated that that increased distance is needed along West 6th Avenue due to the presence of impacted soils in that area, and they need the increased distance along Oregon streets to allow sufficient space for future bridge reconstruction. And staff does not have concerns with those BSMs as they are needed due to the unique site circumstances related to the contaminated soils along 6th Ave and the proximity to the Oregon Street Bridge. The plan is also exceeding yard landscaping point requirements. The neighboring residences to the southwest share a zoning of RMU with the site. However, staff is recommending that it meet buffer yard requirement of a 0.4 opacity to mitigate the impacts of the site on those residences. The applicant is providing a 30-foot setback from the property line, as well as a solid row of arborvitae, along with some deciduous trees to buffer the site from those residences. The applicant has not submitted finalized signage plans, but they do show a monument sign along West 6th Avenue that does appear to be meeting the front yard setback requirement, and the building elevations do show wall signage, which appears to be meeting the area allowance for the zoning district, and final signage plans will be reviewed under a separate building permit. Here is the lighting plan. The provided plan meets the minimum lighting level for all parking and drive areas and does not exceed the maximum foot candle lighting level at the property lines. The light fixtures will be 20 feet in height, which is under the maximum of 23 feet, and the fixtures along the residences will be shielded so that the lighting elements are not visible from the neighboring residential properties. Your building elevations. The proposed elevations include a combination of glass, brick, wood composite panel, and metal panels. It is meeting the 70% Class 1 material requirement on all facades with the exception of the west hospital facade. And that facade is, let's see which one that was, is this facade here, which is slightly under the 70% Class 1 material requirement, and they're requesting that as that area is being used for delivery and services, and also includes screen mechanical and storage areas. Staff is supportive of a BSM as that part of the building will be least visible from the streets and riverfronts and only minimally under the 70% requirement, and they have offset that BSM by providing about 4% over the requirement for the overall site. So the overall site's at about 74% Class 1 materials. The building facades also meet the window and door area requirements, with the exception of the west hospital facade, the north clinic ground floor facade, and the south clinic ground floor facade. So as with the Class 1 material requirements on the hospital west elevation, this is kind of a service and mechanical storage area, so the windows would not be beneficial to that area of the site. And for the north clinic facade, that is also part of a delivery area, and the south facade of the clinic has interior functions along the ground floor for patient surgery prep and recovery spaces, which need privacy along that ground floor area. And to compensate for those window reductions on those facade areas, the applicant has exceeded the overall first floor window area requirement by 10% for the overall upper floor requirement by 6%, so they're overall exceeding the required window area on both the lower and upper floors for the sites. And staff is supportive as they are providing that additional window area, and those areas where they're requesting relief from the code would not benefit from those additional window areas. The Riverfront Overlay District also specifies that one functional entrance is required on the waterfront facade. The plans do not include an entrance on the north building facade. Staff is supportive of a BSM to allow that facade without an entrance, as a waterfront entrance would not typically be associated with a hospital land use. They are providing a walkway connection to the Riverwalk, which is a requirement of the RFO standards, which again they are meeting with that connection. So overall, they are requesting several BSMs. However, staff is comfortable that they are offsetting those BSMs by providing increased landscaping and also providing increased Class 1 materials overall and overall additional door and window area. So with that, staff recommends approval with the findings and conditions in your staff report.
Thank you for your report. Plan Commissioner, are there any technical questions for the staff at this time? Any technical questions for the staff? Ms. Prop?
Well, I will be asking the applicant later what the colors are on the elevations.
Any other technical questions? Okay, I'm going to open a public comment period. Request a statement from the applicant. It's my understanding this applicant has a PowerPoint presentation.
Correct.
So this may take just a hair longer than the 10 minutes, but is the Plan Commission okay with that? All right, so approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Detterman. I'm the Senior Vice President at ThedaCare South Region, which means my day job is running our Trauma and Stroke Hospital in Neenah, and my address is 130 2nd Street, Neenah, Wisconsin. Thank you. All right. So a lot of the information that are on these two slides, you already heard in the staff report. But the one thing I wanted to draw your attention to is that when we were choosing the property that we wanted to build this hospital on, the thing that stuck out to us is that the majority of residents of Oshkosh live on the east side of 41, whereas the hospitals are over on the west side. And so, and this statistic up here where 45% of the emergency department visits over on the west side represent the east side residents, that means there may be a barrier to care there. And so we were looking to come to this side of town, and what better place to build than along the river. If you've been to our Neenah hospital, you know we like to build hospitals along rivers. And so obviously this is a traditional hospital, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It'll be 84,000 square feet in size, and we will have round-the-clock access for care for the community, which includes a retail pharmacy. Not all hospitals have retail pharmacies, so that's a nice feature to add for the community. And I will turn it over to my counterpart, Ryan.
Hi everyone, Ryan Marks, Vice President of Facility Planning and Development with Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin. Thanks for having us here today. Address is 9200 West Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee. Brian did a great job, but maybe a few things on our site plan here I'd like to point out for you all. I start maybe with the building piece that's kind of going diagonal towards the Fox River there. So that's the one-story emergency department and inpatient hospital component. That will be, as Lynn mentioned, open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so we're trying to keep that away from the neighborhood section and the other roadways there. The red arrow that you see kind of coming in on the north side, that is our ambulance bay there. Now this type of facility doesn't typically have a lot of ambulances coming and going. And we also work with them very carefully to make sure sirens are turned off if they do, and they're appropriate transportation for the neighborhood. But that is where the ambulance traffic would be when it does come. You can see that right in front of that piece there's dedicated parking to the emergency department and inpatient space for a quick drop-off area there. The larger component kind of running more north and south where it says community hospital, that's actually the clinical specialty clinics and surgery center component. That typically has a pretty standard business hours to that piece. That is a two-story component, so slightly taller there. And I think you'll see some renderings here in a minute. The large parking area that you see out front there services that component mostly, and that also has its own separate drop-off and drive aisle in front. The retail pharmacy piece that you see out front, I just want to point out it's not like a Starbucks or a McDonald's. You don't see long lines of people backed up there waiting for service. It's really a convenience for our patients to be able to come back and pick up their subscriptions and kind of move along quickly in and out. So it's I don't think you're going to see a lot of traffic there, but it's a great thing to have, as Lynn mentioned, for the community. The west side of the property is our staff parking. So the large parking lot there, and that's also the purple line is where you'll see delivery trucks. Most of our deliveries are either in vans or kind of smaller box trucks. Not a lot of semis or anything like that coming and going from this type of facility. But this staff parking, again, has pretty typical business hours. You know, they come in the morning and work their shifts, and then they leave at night. So not a lot of commotion going through the day. Pretty standard operating of that parking lot. Maybe the other pieces I just mentioned then is kind of the undeveloped white box along Oregon Street. Our intention is just to kind of keep that natural green, maintained grass area. Obviously, there might be some bridge expansions going into that area in the future, and so we want that to look nice as our front entrance to the property. The pieces further to the west, and we'll also take the dirt pile off that section too, so I think neighbors will be excited about that. The section further to the west is continued contaminated industrial area that we're working with the DNR to figure out exactly what we can do there. Anytime you touch that dirt, the DNR needs a lot of plans and a lot of scientific proof on what's happening and where it's going. So we're going to continue to explore the possibilities there. Our alignment and our promises in the neighborhood meeting we had is that we want it to look great. It's part of our neighborhood as well, and so we're going to certainly take care of it and clean it up, as well as the building again on Oregon and or Iowa and 6th Street. It's a neat little property. We're not sure what to do with it yet. We're not sure we want to just knock it down, but it needs some more investigation and see what can be done with that piece. So we're going to continue to work on those pieces and work with the staff on having those pieces come together. I can be available for questions later, but now I'm going to turn it to my friend Tim, who is with HGA Architect Partners.
My name is, excuse me, Tim Scanley, design architect with HGA. Address is 333 East Erie Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53208. Oops. So I just want to spend just a few minutes just walking around the building, really from the perspective of kind of a patient and someone that's approaching the building, just as a way to kind of describe the kind of character of the building and how the building fits into the local context. As what's been stated before, really this intersection is a very kind of important intersection within the city at 6th Avenue and Oregon Street. The front elevation, which we're mainly looking at, faces east towards Oregon Street, which is a major north-south artery within the city. As Ryan described, kind of the building massing of the building, really the two-story massing in the foreground is really kind of that ambulatory surgery building and clinic two-story structure. It is set back from 6th Avenue, a noticeable distance. And we basically have created a larger and deeper landscaping buffer to help screen from the residences across the street. Further into the site is that connected one-story hospital structure. And that structure does kind of bend out and becomes parallel with the adjacent Fox River. Moving a little bit closer down the main entry boulevard, one of the design aspects of creating kind of a healthcare campus is site design and really making sure that patients understand how to use the site circulation and really know where the front door is. It's very easy to kind of get confused and not necessarily knowing where to go. And so really design something that's very intuitive and straightforward that really leads you right to that front door or to the emergency entrance off to the right. It was really paramount in creating a very easy and straightforward design. One of our major goals for this building was to create a modern healthcare building with an exceptional patient experience, but one that really felt like it was grounded into the local context. From a material standpoint, we're drawing a lot of inspiration from a lot of the local downtown buildings and a lot of the commercial districts around kind of the 6th Avenue intersection. As what's been stated before, the primary building material is a light buff gray modular brick. Like I said, we really drew a lot of inspiration from a lot of the historical buildings within the downtown area, and really begins to kind of tie into the tonal qualities of that material. Dark bronze window mullions and architectural flat metal panel are used, really providing that kind of crisp, contrasting color with the brick. And then the phenolic wood panel that was described, that's that kind of orange material that really wraps and folds around the main entry areas of the building, as well as the drop-off canopies. That material was chosen as a way to bring warmth and kind of a timeless quality to this healthcare campus. For the glass that we're using, there's a fairly substantial amount of glass. We're using a very highly efficient clear glass. It has a low E coating, so it performs very well both in summer and winter. A lot of the dark bronze material that you see kind of towards the top portion of the building is a architectural profiled metal panel, and that basically begins to screen some of that rooftop mechanical equipment, and then begins to correlate to some of the color tones used throughout the rest of the building. Moving a little bit closer into really the main entry patient drop-off area. One of the things that we spent a lot of time doing was really thinking about the landscaping design, certainly as a way to meet code, but certainly there's a way that, designing the landscaping in a way to really enhance really the user experience was one of our major goals. In the center of the image, one of the things that we're creating is a healing garden, and we're really trying to encourage kind of this sense of wellness for both patients and staff. Kind of the outdoor healing garden space is located just outside of the cafe, which is on the interior of that kind of wood framed element. Second way of kind of integrating with landscaping and the site, we are proposing a direct connection to the riverfront walkway, which you'll see in one of the future renderings. As we kind of move a little bit further down 6th Avenue, this is that secondary staff and service entry. This face of the building really begins to transition to more of the kind of clinical side of the building. Mostly staff spaces and clinic spaces really face the south and the west. Along kind of that first and second level of the building, we're proposing kind of these tall vertical punched windows with varying widths to create a level of interest. And then there's a certain playfulness of kind of the spacing that also provides some kind of dynamic quality to the facade. Moving to the Riverwalk view, I would describe this side of campus as really kind of a calm and contemplative side of the campus. This is the side of campus that where the inpatient hospital rooms really face the river. So those inpatient rooms do have windows with direct access to the restorative landscape that we're showing, as well as the water beyond. Really the landscaping along kind of this northern edge consists of a native prairie seeding planting. It's a blend of prairie grasses as well as some natural wildflowers, as a way to just to give that kind of softness, soft quality to it. And then just to provide a way for there to be somewhat of a soft barrier between the activity of the Riverwalk and then the inpatient rooms of the hospital. Won't spend too much time on the interior of the building, but just wanted to give you kind of the quality and the flavor of the interior environment. I think we're being very intentional about creating really a wellness-inspired environment with interior finishes that are inspired by nature, as well as the water's edge just outside of the property. And then lastly, just an aerial view, really showing kind of the scale of the development and then its connection back to the city. So any questions, feel free to.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, are there any members of the public that wish to comment on this project at this time? Any members of the public that wish to comment? Approach the podium and state your name and address for the records, please.
Hey, good evening. My name is John Ramsey. I live at 313 West 6th Ave. I received a mailing about this meeting, and I wanted to show up to see what the hospital would look like right across from where I live. And also, on the back of the mailing, the house I live in has crosshatching over it, and I just don't know what that means. There's 2 houses along the east of Iowa section that don't have crosshatching, and mine does, and I just wanted clarification.
Yeah, that'd be the area that we send notifications to, which I believe is 300 feet? 100 feet.
So it's nothing saying like your house is going to be impacted specifically?
No.
Your house
It's just a
is
distance from the property that we send mailings to notify.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? State your name and address for our records, please.
Hi there. My name is Paulette Feld, and I live at 416 West Fifth Avenue, which is also in that cross-hatched area. And I just wanted to express, I'm the chair of the neighborhood association in this area, and we've probably been kept informed of this project since, I think literally day one, when it was announced to the public. And we've had several meetings throughout that time, and we've done our best to keep the neighborhood informed. And through that period of time, I've tried to, make sure people had a chance to talk about any issues they have with the hospital at neighborhood events, and there haven't been any substantial concerns expressed. And so I just wanted to share that, and also reinforce that this is a really good way for the city to encourage a project like this with the neighborhoods. So with that, I don't have any questions at all. Like I said, we've been kept up to date, and I'm looking forward. I think this is, if we were going to ask for something to be built in this area, I think you can't ask for anything better than a hospital. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Okay, I'm seeing none. Does the applicant wish to have a closing statement?
Good evening. I'll make it quick. I'm Tom Arquilla, the Chief Strategy Officer for Theta Care, and my address is 1 Nina Center in downtown Nina. And I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody in the room. I want to particularly thank the staff. They've been incredible to work with. I've done a lot of these projects because I'm old, okay, over 40 years, and I will tell you that the professionalism and the back and forth and the give and take between our staff, our consultants, and the staff here is exceptional. I also want to thank Paulette and the neighbors. It's been great getting your feedback. We will continue to do that because, as I've said in other times before, we've been here over 125 years, and we'll be here another 100 years. And so we plan to continue to be good neighbors. So thank you all very much, and we really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Declaring the public hearing closed. Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations stated in the staff report.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion on the motion? Ms. Prop.
I find this very attractive. Thank you. Muted colors, and I like the landscaping concepts, and the neighbors are happy, and it'll be so much better than what we have down there now. So thank you.
Ms. Sherman.
So I echo what Kathy said, but my perspective's just a little bit different in that I remember when you first came to us, and I'm an avid boater, and it was just like, oh my gosh, not this big, huge parcel of land that's going away to a hospital. Even though I understood all of the contamination, restrictions and things, it was still just, and then of course I have all this noise of all these people who are unhappy initially. And, so from that first day till here we are, you've done an incredible job of talking to the community and talking to the neighbors and everything. And I think that there is, even those naysayers early on that were, in my ear, have come around and understood how great this is going to be. So I'm glad we're at the point we are.
Wonderful, thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Any other discussion on the motion? All right, I'm seeing none, so we will have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Coulibaly.
Aye.
Ms. Davy.
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger. Ms. Prop.
Aye.
Ms. Shireman.
Aye.
Mr. Bowen. Vice Chair Kiefer.
Aye.
And Chairman Perry.
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the Planning Director's Report, update on Lake Butamore Development.
I'm filling in for Mark here, so we just wanted to let Plan Commission members know that council did have a resolution at their last council meeting on October 24th requesting that that Lake Butamore development for the multifamily units come back through Plan Commission and council. They would like to review it again. They would like to, if you don't remember, Plan Commission approved the general development plan and the specific implementation plan at the same meeting as presented. Council approved the general development plan, but then they did have an amendment that decreased the number of stories from the proposed 4 to 3. So council would like it to propose an amendment for it to be 4 stories once again. So from your standpoint, everything is pretty much going to look very similar to what you reviewed the first time, but I just wanted to give you a heads up at your next meeting on November 21st. If you look like it's deja vu and you've seen this before, it is. Staff is going to obviously add a little bit of background information of kind of what's happened and since you first reviewed it, but I just wanted to give you an update on it so you can expect that coming. So you will review it on the 21st. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, is this appropriate to ask a few questions at this time just for the report on the 20th or 21st?
For what?
Well, one of the things is that the proposal that will come in front of us is larger than what was originally proposed.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Yep.
The other thing is more units. Maybe
No,
not
that is
taller.
incorrect.
The second thing is what is our housing development plan and how will this impact it? Because I believe that what we've done from now through when that plan was developed is we've hit the number of units that were designed for this, that were expressed as needed, and now this development may put us over that amount. So I'm going to want to know some of those things to help me
We can certainly include that information in there.
my information for
Yes.
that week. Thank you. Anything else before we call for the last item? Ms. Davy?
Will there be another meeting with the neighbors before we have our meeting?
Council decided since the plan is not changing from what was originally proposed, there's not additional units,
Okay.
that there will be no neighborhood meeting because there's no changes.
The neighbors were informed that this was coming up, but that's the information that's gone through. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, last item is adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This can be a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I just need.
We are adjourned.